Hi, welcome to Body Confidence TV. My name is Astrid and I'm the director and founder of the Institute for Body Confidence Coaching, and I'm also the author of 2 books on body confidence. The first one was called Body Confidence, and the second, my most recent book, is called Romancing Your Body. And I'm really delighted to bring you this question and answer piece that I do on Body Confidence TV, because for me it's really, really important. I've had, over the years, so many people write into me, and they're asking questions about all kinds of body confidence issues, from eating disorders, to how to feel good about yourself, to how to boost self-esteem, to how not to hold yourself back in life, fitness questions, you name it, anything to do with body confidence issues. I have read them all, and I wanted to have a space that I could reply to some. So I had a wonderful emailing from a lovely girl called Sarah. Now, Sarah isn't her real name, but she was happy for me to use the name Sarah. And I'd just like to read you her question. So, Sarah writes, "Dear Astrid, I hope you can help me. I'm 43 years old and have been struggling with my weight all of my life. I've tried every diet under the sun and none of them work for good. I lose a bit of weight and then I put it back on again. I'm at my wit's end and just don't know how to break this cycle. Thanks for any advice you can give." And she puts, "P.S. I weigh myself up to 3 times a day." Sarah, thank you so much for writing in. And you are not alone in your struggle with weight. And the first thing that when I was reading this was that, as you said, you've tried every diet under the sun and you lose a little bit of weight for a time and then you find that you put the weight on again. This is a repeating pattern, and this is what so many of us go through in our life. Certainly my story was very, very similar. I would lose a little bit of weight, think that I had got it sorted, think that I had got it sussed, but then sooner or later I would revert back to my old eating patterns. You say also that you weigh up to 3 times a day. The first thing that I would really invite you to do is to stop weighing. Now, I know you're probably going to throw your hands up in the air and absolutely, "I can't do that, my weight's going to go completely out of control." Sarah, no it isn't. When we are so focused on the scales and our weight, we get caught into this really vicious cycle, because what we're doing is we are judging ourselves on how much we weigh. And you are more than how much you weigh. Your weight does not tell you about you. It does not tell you about your feelings, your emotions, the life you've lived, the challenges that you may be facing right now. The weight, the scales will only ever tell you one thing, and that's what you weigh. And your weight will change several times throughout the day. If you drink something, your weight is going to change. If you're dehydrated, if you haven't drunk anything, your weight is also going to change. So one of the things that I would really invite you to do is to stop weighing, Sarah. Please throw the scales away. It took me an awful long time to throw the scales away, and I kept rebuying scales because I wanted to check my weight. But the focus then is always on your weight. When your focus is on your weight, one of the things that we know now is that wherever your focus is, we get more of. So by that I mean, if you're consistently focusing on your weight, you're consistently focusing on food and what you maybe can or can't eat or shouldn't eat or how much you're eating. And life then becomes consumed with food, calories, amounts. And if you're like any of us who have struggled with this, the more that your mind is thinking about the food and the weight and how much you are or not eating, you're still in that vicious circle and that cycle, as you so rightly put. So you've tried it all. You've tried every diet. You're already an expert on that. You already know that they don't work for you. So maybe it's time to do something a little bit different. So one of the things that, apart from throwing the scales away, that I would really ask you to do, and again, you might think, "I can't do this, I can't do this," because it does feel hard. It feels like you're going to go out of control at the beginning. But one of the things that I would ask you to do is to stop dieting. Really. Stop dieting. Start to allow yourself to get back in touch with your natural hunger. And many people, when I talk about stopping dieting, they say, "Well, I don't know what my natural hunger is. I haven't been hungry for years." Or I'm never hungry. Or I'm so out of touch with that. And this is the whole point. really the only point that we ever eat food, or really should be that we ever eat food, is to fuel our physical hunger. But most of us, and especially in today's society, we are eating for 100 different reasons. We're eating because we might be hungry later, we're eating because we're cold, we're eating because we're hot, we're eating because we're happy, we're eating because we're sad, we're eating because we've just read somebody in the papers doing a great diet and we think that that's going to work for us, not taking into account our different body types and the way that we respond to food. We eat because it's a social occasion. We eat, we eat, we eat. But the only reason to really eat is to really fuel and nourish yourself on a physical level. Any other kind of eating is or cannot be fueled and cannot be fed by food. Emotional eating can never be fed by food. So there's a repeating pattern that is going on as you've identified it. You're an expert already, as I've said. So now it's time to try something different. So I'd really love you to really, really try this, Sarah, because, you know, unless we try these things, we have no idea of the pathway that can open up for us. So one of the things, just gently, very lovingly, stop dieting. Start just questioning yourself. When you go to the fridge, stop. You can eat anything you want from the fridge, but just stop for a moment. And if you open the fridge door and you're not physically hungry, there's something else that is crying out to be fed. So when you open that fridge door or the cupboard door, just stop for a moment and say to yourself, okay, what am I hungry for? Am I physically hungry? 2 questions. What am I hungry for? Is it food? And am I physically hungry? Now, you may get an answer straight away. Your whole body, your whole mind, you may say, no, I'm not physically hungry, and I don't know what I'm hungry for. But I think I can find it in the fridge, but you know you can't, because you know that the answer to that doesn't lie in the fridge. The only answer in the fridge is to really nourish your physical hunger. So, whenever you find yourself going towards the fridge, going towards the cupboard, reaching for food, you can still have the food if you want it. We're not saying don't have the food at all. But what I am saying is put in a question. Start to get conscious. Start to get aware of what it is you're really up to, what it is you're really looking for. Because if you're not physically hungry and you're trying to feed yourself with food, that pattern will be continuing on. And patterns are great because they are there to help us wake up. They're there to bring us back to that point where we've been 100 times before. And I don't know about you, but when I was going through my eating challenges and I would find myself going to the fridge, 100 times a day, opening the fridge, really feeling almost like in a trance-like state, just want to eat. And it was really tough, putting in a question was really tough, but it started to break the cycle. Because the cycle just wants to continue. It's like a circle. It just wants to keep going around and replaying that old pattern. And this is possibly an old pattern that you've learned way back in your childhood. This is something that may be a food that you used in order to make yourself feel better, to make yourself feel happier in some way, shape or form. But now it's not working for you. Then it might have worked for you. Like with me, my reaching out for food when I wasn't hungry worked for me for a long time until it stopped giving me what I want. I didn't feel, how did I used to feel? I used to feel like that sort of coma. You go into that kind of coma and the world has stopped for a while. For me, I could shut the world out and I could not feel what I was feeling. I could crush down my anger. I could just get myself into such a food coma that I'd just fall asleep, usually just watching telly. And I'd go into just fall asleep and then wake up feeling awful. So it's really, Sarah, it's really, really good. One, that you reached out and you wrote to me, and I'm really, really grateful for that because I think your question is a question that so many people struggle with, and certainly I struggled with. That endlessly trying the diets, endlessly trying to find a way. But the way is always through your own unique experience. And in the coaching is so wonderful when you can actually start to coach yourself and start to actually say, and that's the first key, is to ask those questions. Just those 2 questions, Sarah. You know, what am I physically hungry for? Am I physically hungry? What am I hungry for? And you may, as I said, you may not get the answer straight away, you may get the answer straight away. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is you put in a break of the circle. That circle and that cycle can't continue, because to continue you'd have to be mindless. You'd have to still go on going, oh, there's the fridge, there's the cupboard, I'm just going to eat. But you're not now. You're conscious about it. You're looking for it now. Now you can go to the fridge and you can still eat whatever you want. But the difference is you put in a break. You stop that circle from repeating, and that break is the question. So it doesn't matter if you know the answer to it. Just putting in the question is brilliant. And that starts to help break the pattern. Sarah, throw away the scales. Please don't judge yourself by what you weigh. Part of really making great changes in our lives and really coming home to our authentic, real self is actually looking at ourselves with compassion, kindness, and valuing ourselves far more than a number that we see on the scale. Every time I would weigh myself in the morning, my day would be dictated by how much weight I'd gained and how much I'd lost. If I'd lost weight, I'd have a great day. I'd be as happy as anything. I'd be walking around, my head held high, really happy. If I'd lost weight, if I gained weight, I wouldn't want to go out. I mean, that's how serious it was. I would not want to go out. I would make excuses not to go out. I would try everything not to go out. And usually, if the scales had said that I weighed heavier than I thought I was going to weigh, or gained weight, that would be it. I would just slide down into a depression. And usually at the end of the day, I would end up binging, or compulsive eating, or just eating mindlessly. So please, Sarah, please try this. Please just have a go at this. You know, you're far too special and far too precious to allow yourself to be dictated to by diets, other people's ideas of what you should eat. And this is a process. This takes time. You know, and I'd love you. I'm not really going to say any more, because you want to put these steps into place first. You know, I could go on and give you a lot of other steps right now, but I think it's pointless because it will just confuse the matter. What I'd love you to do is, if you would, is try these steps first, and then I'd love you to get in contact again with me and see how you are and see where you are after putting in these steps. So I hope that helps. I really hope that helps, Sarah. You know, life is too wonderful to be ruled by food in a negative way. Food is the most wonderful experience. And, you know, when you start to really connect back and you start to connect in what you're truly hungry for, and you can feed all of the other hungers. I do a lot of writing in Romancing Your Body about the 5 hungers. And so if you're interested in finding out a little bit more, please go and have a look at Romancing Your Body. It is available on Amazon, and there's a whole chapter on romancing your body with food, and I talk about the 5 hungers in quite a lot of depth. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, it makes it very clear. So thank you so much, Sarah, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon. So thank you, and lots of love and good luck. You know, you deserve to be the best you can be and to live your most amazing life. Thank you so much.